Man, I feel like we just had the best wild card weekend I've ever seen. Like every single game was so damn good. Obviously, the number one game being Jacksonville as well as Los Angeles. We'll talk about the implications, talk about what this means for Trevor Lawrence. But before we get into anything, make sure you go down there, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel only if you play Dynasty Fantasy Football, because that's going to be the only thing you find here. And if you want to check out any of these player props for tonight, if you want to check out any player props for any game ever, make sure you go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. There you can also get into drafts with us on the live stream when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy with the link in the comment section or in the description. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. So it's pretty much free to check out. And on top of it, you're going to be getting our 2023 Dynasty Fantasy Football rankings, which is exciting. But let's go ahead. Let's start this draft here. We are going to be at the 106. And keep in mind, this will be a 12-team super flex tight end premium draft where kickers are rookie picks. So if you take the first kicker off the board, you get the 101. If you take the second kicker off the board, you get the 102, etc. down the line. I think most people understand that by now, but ooh, Dominic says, who do I draft to the 106 in a startup? Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, or Justin Jefferson? My friend, I got some good news for you. We're sitting at the 106. I'll show you exactly what I'm going to be doing here. And maybe it's a little bit of an overreaction, but we'll see. We'll see. Let me know if y'all think I'm losing my mind here. Maybe this is an overreaction due to wild card weekend, but I feel like we got to go for it. I feel like I have to be taking Lawrence here. To look at how good Lawrence has been in year two, to combine this with the fact that he was the chosen one coming out of high school. He was the chosen one coming out of college. I am at this point willing to say, you know what? It was 100% Urban Meyer being the worst coach of all time. That's what negatively impacted Lawrence to the extent that it did. I mean, going forward, how many players would you rather have in Dynasty? Like, if you were starting an NFL team right now, how many players do you want over Trevor Lawrence? Not to mention that I have a little bit of a spicy take, and that, DeAndre Hopkins is leaving the Arizona Cardinals. And if I go through and think about where Hopkins may land, and I know maybe we are overthinking this, but DeAndre Hopkins is most likely going to end up having to go to a situation where the quarterback on that team is on a rookie deal. DeAndre Hopkins is going to be owed $30 million this next year. Anybody that is paying their quarterback $30-40 million this season, I don't know how they're going to be able to easily afford to pay Hopkins. So I think he's going to go to a team that has a quarterback on a rookie deal. I think he's probably going to go to a team that is also going to be contending at the same time. These guys like Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, probably about to get paid. So I think that they may end up, and I know this is a hot take, but the Jacksonville Jaguars may end up adding Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins to the mix next season. And I know we're going a little wild with that, but at that point, what? Lawrence is like the quarterback 3 and it would be so exciting. Okay. But now we have some more quarterbacks going off the board. We have Fields, Watson at the 1-2 turn. We have Kyler at the 201. We talked about this in the live stream last time. People got really mad that I said, yeah, I loved Deshaun Watson in the first round of startup drafts this last year, but now I don't know. People are saying, Mason, you can't scream that Deshaun Watson's great value last year, and then after disappointing his first 6 games back, be out on him. I'm not necessarily completely out on Deshaun Watson, but I clearly you're seeing that I'm no longer taking him in the first round of startup drafts. I think he should be falling now to the second, third round. Okay. But Deep Sleeper is on auto draft. They have their little green dot there. I know that, should we change it? I'm not going to change it. CMC is close enough to what would be an okay pick that we're not going to change it. I think here we're most likely going to be looking at Jonathan Taylor or Breece Hall. If you're looking at my Dynasty rankings right now, I literally have these guys ranked back to back. I honestly think that they are in the same tier. I will go Jonathan Taylor here just for the hell of it. I mean, if you're looking at our tier 1 of our Dynasty running back rankings, we have Bijan Robinson, Kenneth Walker, Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall in any order you want. I don't really care. I think you can make an argument for one guy over the other. But in reality, in my mind, they're all about the same. And you just kind of get whoever's there for you. Okay. Stefan says, what are your thoughts on Hodgins? Is he a wide receiver 2 in Dynasty next season? Hell to the no, my friend. Hell to the no. I think he is a replacement level player that stepped into a situation that had nobody else to go to. I don't think Hodgins is all of a sudden going to turn into a top 24 wide receiver in Dynasty. I'd be very, very surprised. Okay. Now, Jalen Waddle goes at the 210 here. So just looking in a reference of where the rookie picks are going to give you all an idea, here Jalen Waddle was valued between the 103 and the 104. We got Jonathan Taylor between the 102 and the 103. So just to keep in mind, looks like according to this draft, Deshaun Watson's worth a little bit more than the 102 and a little less than the 101. Okay, Amon-Ra St. Brown goes here at the end of the second. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't realize y'all couldn't see the picks 12. Let me go ahead and let me fix that for y'all. There we go. Should be better now. Age says, do you think CJ Stroud is going to decide to go to the NFL or back to school? Obviously, I have no freaking idea. Nobody knows. I mean, I wish I was buddy-buddy with CJ Stroud and I could call him on the phone right now and go, hey, man, what are you thinking? I would say he should go to the NFL. I mean, I don't really see why he won it if he's pretty much guaranteed to be a top 10 NFL draft pick. Like, you kind of just have to. I mean, they would just... Maybe with NIL, he's getting paid enough where it would. I don't know. I mean... Yeah, you're the man on a college campus, but you're really going to pass up on just getting the guaranteed, what, $20, $30 million? But like I said, I have no idea. Okay. Now, Kelsey goes 302, Jacobs, Andrews. Very interesting to see the tight ends go here. So Travis Kelsey going before the 104. Like we said, this is a tight end premium league. And with Travis Kelsey, look just as dominant this season as he has forever now, but he's also going to be 33 this next year. So at some point, I feel like we need to be discounting him. Like Travis Kelsey is like 6 months younger than Rob Gronkowski. Okay, Tyreek Hill goes the 304. Okay. I know the two guys that we'd be looking at, and I'm not really going to be hesitant on either one. Yeah, so Tua goes. So let me pull up my Dynasty rankings. Like I said, if you sign up for Underdog Fantasy, link in the comment section, link in the description. You have access to these Dynasty rankings. A minimum of a $10 deposit. But let's pull up just so I can confirm. Yeah. We are going to go this way. We have two players ranked back-to-back here. Very, very close. We're going to go T. Higgins at the 306. I mean, with Higgins attached to Joe Burrow for the long term, yeah, you have Chase there, but still Higgins is in his own right, even with the healthy Jamar Chase, a consistent low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2 on a winning team. I think you could have made the argument, well, Mason, you already made the bet on the Jacksonville Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence. Why don't you go ahead and take Travis Etienne? It's more so I'd prefer grabbing a wide receiver here when we already took Taylor in the second. I really like the wide receiver value in this range. Zach says he's given up betting against Kelsey. I mean, I completely understand that because if you've been betting against Kelsey for the past 4 years now, you've just been getting crushed every single time you've made that bet. Okay. Mark says, on the road to 500,000 subs by August. Let's go. Thank you, my man. And I'll say there's a 0% aggressive, but there's a 0.01% chance that we hit 500,000 subscribers. I don't even think the fantasy footballers have that. And there's no Very, 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 very tiny chance that we ever be as big as the fantasy footballers. Okay. So now Garrett Wilson going at the 309. Wilson was the other wide receiver we were considering here in the middle of the third. We had T. Higgins ranked as our wide receiver 7. Garrett Wilson ranked as our wide receiver 8. I mean, with Wilson, I think you can make the argument that he's a better wide receiver talent than T. Higgins. Obviously, incredibly young as well. The primary issue is just going to be the fact that how you don't have the quarterback situation solved for the New York Jets compared to you having Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. So that's why we are going to go ahead, and that's why we took T. Higgins there instead. Okay, so this team at the end takes another rookie. Okay, so if we're looking at where we are with the rookie picks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so if we have another kicker going off the board, it's going to be the rookie pick 106. Okay, so here, the 106 going off the board in the middle of the fourth. Okay. So I have a few ideas of what we can do with this pick. Ooh, Christian Watson has skyrocketed up this ADP. Devonta Smith, I like it. Trey Lance, I like it. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. We may have ended up taking Trey Lance if he would have made it to us. Javonte Williams, 405. Javonte Williams was going to be another player we were looking at here. Okay, I think I know who we're going to go with, though. See if Mr. 24K God ends up taking him from us. Let's see what he does. He goes Stephon Diggs, so we're going to end up going with DK Metcalf. Metcalf, there's an outside chance they go quarterback at the very beginning of round 1. I know Geno Smith looked pretty damn good this year, but for to be honest with each other, I don't think it has anything to do with Geno Smith finally piecing together in his 30s. I think what it most likely was, hell, this is a very, very good Seattle Seahawks organization, very good coaching staff that propped up Russell Wilson for people to think he was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. That made Geno Smith look good. So I think that honestly, if they go out there and they get a quarterback at the very beginning of round 1, if you have like CJ Stroud going over to the Seattle Seahawks, it could be a very, very good spot. Okay, so Eckler going off. Obviously, I mean, if you're looking at Eckler versus London going here, just such a unique spot to be in. Obviously, this comes down to just this is Dynasty. You have a player that is arguably maybe the running back 1 overall next year versus someone that's done absolutely nothing, but you also have the short-term value versus long-term value to look at. It's a very interesting spot. Now, Devontae Adams going off the board here at the end of the 4th as well. So what I really like with the players that we're taking, I know I talk about this all the time in Dynasty startups. I think it's something that most people should be striving to do, but it's very hard to find these players, of course, is at the beginning of your startup drafts, go ahead and take the guys that are going to be both productive in the short term and have long-term value as well. Pretty sure Lawrence going to be productive next season. Pretty sure Taylor's going to be scoring points next year. Same thing with T. Higgins. Same thing with DK Metcalf. But at the same time, we're not sacrificing too much in terms of the long-term value, where at the end of the day, I mean, these guys are still pretty damn young. So I would prefer building this way because it's going to give us the flexibility through the rest of this draft to take value where it is. I mean, if we have a veteran that we like very much falling to us, then maybe we push to go win now, and vice versa. If we have a ton of young guys, a ton of rookie picks falling to us, then we're still in a position where we can afford to play for 2024. Okay, so Hawkinson off the board here at the beginning of the 5th. I really like the Hawkinson pick, if I'm going to be honest. Like, Hawkinson just looked so damn good. Especially in a tight end premium format. Hawkinson's incredibly young as well. He's drafted in 2019 at 21 years old. Okay. Margaret Ward says, if Brock Purdy wins the Super Bowl, will Lance start week 1? I think he won't. If Brock Purdy won the Super Bowl, there's a 0% chance that anybody is starting for the 49ers not named Brock Purdy week 1 next year. Now, will Brock Purdy win the Super Bowl? Probably not. Okay, so Christian Watson off the board here at the 504. Okay, so that was the rookie pick 107, I believe. Let's go ahead. If we're pulling up our rankings, I believe Chubb's the highest running back we have here. Let's go ahead. Let's take Nick Chubb at the 506. You have no Kareem Hunt you don't have Kareem Hunt guaranteed to be on this Cleveland Browns team next year. Nick Chubb was drafted in 2018. I know he slowed down in the second half of the season once Deshaun Watson came in. Not sitting here saying Nick Chubb's the best pick in the world, but he's going right before the rookie pick 108, right after the rookie pick 107. So I'm going to be fine with the selection. I don't love it. I don't hate it. Okay. Thomas says, is it me or are rookie picks going a lot earlier than last year? Honestly, I think it's just you. I mean, in this draft in particular, rookie picks have gone a lot earlier than the other mock drafts we've done. Like if you go through and look at the other mock drafts we've done with this same format, you'll see that these rookies were falling an insane amount. Like in those other mock drafts, I was going ahead and taking a rookie pick in almost every single round. I was going, okay, we're going to get the 103 in the fourth round. Sign me up. And then all the way down the board, my team was just loaded up with these kickers. Here, I honestly think that they're probably more appropriately valued because, like I said, rookie picks are just guaranteed. It's happened every single offseason, regardless of the draft class. Guaranteed to increase in value. So it's hard to go out there and say, oh, people are overvaluing these rookie picks, etc. I mean, it's fine. Okay. So Pickens going off the board here at the end of the fifth. Not going to lie to you, I do not like this Pickens selection. I know he had some highlight grabs, but I mean, I feel like Deebo Samuel's just a significantly better wide receiver at that point. It's not like Deebo's too old either. Deebo did stay all 4 years at South Carolina, but was drafted in 2019. Actually, maybe stayed 5 years at South Carolina. He dealt with so many injuries in college. I believe he was drafted at 22 or 23 years old. Let's see. Yeah, so he's 27 now. Okay, so Pollard, 601. Okay, so this team here at 11 has a very interesting build, going with Fields and Watson for the long term. And then after that has the rookie pick 104, I believe 106, 108, and 109. So Cousins going there at the beginning of the sixth. Obviously, it's just once you have that quarterback teardrop, wherever you draw that line, if you draw that line at Deshaun Watson or Dak Prescott, it is just a hard fall to everybody else. Such a hard fall. Dominic says, thoughts on a third round reversal? I don't think it makes too much of a difference one way or another, to be honest with you, my man. I think if you want to do a third round reversal, go for it. If you don't, it doesn't really matter. Okay, Mixon at the 605. Are we going to end up? Okay, I think I know where we're going. Seems like the sleeper ADP is a little better now than it was. I'm assuming just more people drafting on sleeper. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Deebo Samuel. Getting another 2019 wide receiver in here. Same draft class as DK Metcalf. So, I mean, I really like the balanced approach that we have to our team. There are a few names that I have in mind at the 706. So if you're going to be keeping in mind the veterans that are going off here in the middle of round 6 compared to the rookie pick evaluation. So we take Deebo Samuel here right after, I believe this was the 109 and right before the 110. So our option was, do we take the 10th pick in this rookie draft essentially or Deebo Samuel? And we're going Deebo Samuel there. So oh my gosh, I will say, I'm sorry. I do not like this Geno Smith pick. I mean, there are a few names that there are a decent amount of players that I'd rather have. Like I said, I mean, if we're looking at Geno Smith, he had a very good season. Like obviously a way better year than anybody was expecting him. But at the same time, Geno Smith has been in the NFL since 2013. He's going to be 33 years old next season. Is it that Geno Smith just finally put it together and is, all of a sudden some great NFL quarterback going forward. I know, like, if you're looking at it, 30 passing touchdowns to 11 interceptions and adjusted yards per attempt to mark at 7.7. I don't think it's that Geno Smith's finally unleashed or blah, blah, blah. I think that was more so this is a great situation that you have playing for the Seattle Seahawks there. He stepped into a great situation. I don't even know if he has a guaranteed starting job next year. I mean, where are the Seahawks picking with that Broncos pick? Okay, so Kittle goes to the 702. Interesting. Zach doubling down on the tight ends in a tight end premium format. I don't mind the Kittle pick at all. So Seattle picking at 5. Like, if you have Stroud declaring and they really want him there, I wouldn't be too surprised. So the Lou goes Cam Akers at 703. Akers actually won us a decent amount of money just because he had that massive Week 15 game this year. Okay, at this point, Dameon Pierce has been a big time faller. I mean, we were talking about Dameon Pierce being a clear sell high candidate in Dynasty earlier this season. But he was going significantly before here. I'm going to make a pick that is the grossest selection you will ever see, and I 100% admit it. Yes, Geno Smith was a million times better this season, but the reason we are taking Russell Wilson here is job security. If you're looking at the contract, if you're looking at the team investment they have into Russell Wilson, well, yes, he was arguably one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL this year. If you were relying on him in Dynasty, if you drafted him in the first round of your Dynasty startup draft last offseason, you got crushed. And I repeat, crushed. The price point's completely different taking him here in the 7th. We're getting him after Hollywood, Akers. We're getting him after Pickett, Goff, Geno Smith. There's a non-0% chance that this coaching staff was Urban Meyer level bad in Denver this year. And if they just get rid of this coaching staff, all of a sudden we have a Lawrence type turnaround. I'm not expecting that to happen. Like I said, there's a non-0% chance it is in the range of outcomes. And more importantly, you just know he's guaranteed to be the starter here next year and the year after that minimum. Okay. If you're betting on Russ, though, you are essentially betting that it was just the coaching staff's issue this past year. Okay, I really like this Jahan Dotson selection at the end of the 7th round. Obviously, the issue with Jahan Dotson is you don't know the quarterback situation there long-term, combined with the fact that they ended up getting that extension to Terry McLaurin. I mean, if Terry McLaurin didn't have that extension, if they didn't find a deal that made sense for both parties, I mean, Jahan Dotson would be extremely exciting. And I think there's a non-0% chance that Jahan Dotson's actually the wide receiver 1 there over Terry McLaurin this next season, which I know people are going to hate to hear that. Okay. So Derek Carr goes here at the beginning of the 8th. Yeah, so seeing some of these other quarterbacks go off the board like Derek Carr here honestly makes me a little more excited about our selection of Russell Wilson in the 7th, just given the fact that, hell, I know we can sit here and say, oh, well, Derek Carr is going to be a New York Jet next season. We can try to speculate on that, but in reality, you just have no idea. There are 2 names that I'm looking at. Actually, 3 names. I think that we can get one of them on the way back around. So Christian Kirk goes, what does Mr. 24K God do? Goes Isaiah Pacheco. Pacheco was not going to be someone we were looking at. We're going to go Terry McLaurin. I mean, we're just going to continue to add on these 2019 wide receivers. Deebo Samuel, Metcalf, obviously, in that same draft class. McLaurin, another one of the players like Deebo that was incredibly old coming in. Like Terry McLaurin, even though he was just drafted in 2019, is what? Yeah, 27 years old. Stayed a very long time at Ohio State. But even if I'm not the biggest McLaurin fan in the world, it is what it is. Very interesting is I just saw Isaiah Pacheco go here. Now it's Dameon Pierce. No idea what that was about. No idea what that was about. Yeah, man says, starting Dynasty this year, would you recommend doing a startup draft now in the rookie draft after the NFL draft, or just wait and do one draft? I 100% recommend doing it exactly how we are now. Have your startup draft now before the NFL draft. Draft your rookie picks in that startup draft, and then have your rookie draft after the NFL draft. I mean, the easiest way I sell people on this, and I've done this literally, this has been my number one way to do startup drafts since probably about 2016, 2017. The easiest way to sell it on people is the draft is by far and away the most fun part of fantasy football. Whether that's going to be Dynasty, redraft. I mean, it's why best ball is awesome. The draft is the most fun thing. We play to have fun. 2 drafts is more fun than 1 draft. It's so much of a better setup. Okay, so Dylan was actually the other player that we were going to be looking at. If we decided not to go Terry McLaurin at the 807, we would have gone ahead and we would have taken A.J. Dillon. I mean, if you look at the amount of money that they could save from moving on from Aaron Jones this next year, I don't want to sit here and act like it's a guarantee, like, oh no, Aaron Jones cut candidate. But I mean, there is a possibility. It's a world we could find ourselves living in that they go, okay, yeah, we just can't be competitive. Rodgers, we're going to ship you out of Green Bay. We don't want to pay this contract. We're going to burn it down, go into a rebuild. We're going to cut Aaron Jones, save the $12, $13 million, whatever it may be. And then obviously at that point, Dylan would just crush. Will says, I traded Pacheco for the 110 last night. What are your thoughts? Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I mean, right now, if we're going to be looking at Pacheco still being available and how many rookie picks have gone off the board, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, so 11 picks have already gone off the board, and Pacheco is still available. So, interesting to see. I guess people are just 100% ready to say Kamara is done. Ooh, there's another player I really like. Okay, there are about 2 to 3 names that we're looking at here. I mean, if y'all were watching the startup draft that we did, I believe, like 2 weeks ago, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We were not coming up with 4 or 5 plans down the road, so we were panicking and getting autoed. I think we're probably going to end up going with James Cook here. There are a few other names that I like, but I think they can come back to us. For looking at James Cook, I mean, at the end of the day, Naheem Hines is not under contract next season. Devin Singletary is not under contract next season. James Cook is the only running back that has guaranteed money with the Buffalo Bills in 2023. So for that reason, I'm fine investing into him. Obviously, it wasn't a great rookie season, but at the end of the day, it's an elite level offense, and he projects to be the starter next year. PH11 says, traded the 309 for Sam Howell. Do you see him being the starter in week 1? I'd be very surprised if Sam Howell ever turned into be anything, but at the same time, I'd be very surprised if the rookie that you would take at the 309 ever turned out to be anything. So, no, I do not see Sam Howell being the starter week 1, but at the same time, I don't want to say it's a bad trade because you traded the rookie pick 309, which is garbage, so it doesn't really matter one way or another. It's just up to your personal preference. Okay. So Brian Robinson going here at the end of the 9th. So like if we're going to be looking at the difference between Brian Robinson and James Cook, in my opinion, it's just that you have Gibson still under contract there next year. Okay. Let's move this over. Pacheco goes here at the end of the 9th. Let me know, would y'all rather have Isaiah Pacheco or James Cook? I mean, I just always will prefer going with the young running back that has the investment made into him by his team. Pacheco was drafted in the 7th round, whereas James Cook was a 2nd round pick. I mean, there's a pretty big difference between the two there. Okay. So David Njoku goes there at pick 10. We still don't have a tight end. Keep in mind, this is a tight end premium format, but I mean, I've come to the conclusion that if we don't get a stud, I'm just ready to punt. I'm ready to get the worst tight end imaginable. Brock Purdy goes at the 10:03. It is such an interesting eval for Brock Purdy, coming from nowhere, being Mr. Irrelevant, stepping into the best situation you could ever imagine in San Francisco. I don't know if it's the best pick of the draft. I don't know if it's the worst pick of the draft. I just have no idea. But I know who we want here. We have one more pick until we get him. Let's see if it happens. Yeah, Dawson Knox off the board, so I'm going to have the easiest pick in the world. We're going to go Matthew Stafford here. I mean, I understand that Matthew Stafford was one of the most disappointing players on the most disappointing team this season. Very similar to Russell Wilson. It's about the price point that we're getting him at. I mean, I just don't know how Stafford turns out to be a bad pick here. I mean, if we are getting Stafford after Dawson Knox, he has to be the starter next year, right? He has to be. Okay, so Evan Ingram goes here at the end of the 10th. Ben says, do you trade Christian Watson in the 105 and move up to the 103? Only quarterbacks of Burrow and Lance. Personally, I wouldn't at this time. Maybe if you're playing in like a very shallow format where you only had a total of like 8 starters, so you could only start maybe 3 to 4 wide receivers on a week-to-week basis. There in a format like that, Christian Watson to be in the depth would be worth significantly less. But assuming it's a regular Dynasty league where you're starting 10, 11 guys, I probably would keep the 2 assets. And real quick, please, if you have not done so already, make sure you go down there, drop a like on this live stream if y'all want more Dynasty content. And subscribe to the channel, of course, if you play Dynasty Fantasy Football. If you don't play Dynasty, sorry, this is not going to be the channel for you, though. Okay, so James Conner going here at the end of the 10th. I'm fine with the Conner pick. I mean, you have guaranteed money next year in Arizona. He's been so damn good. PH says, how early is too early to draft Danny Dimes in startup drafts? So here, Daniel Jones goes 5-7. Obviously, what you're getting with Daniel Jones is a quarterback that can run the ball. Rumor is that the Giants were planning on extending him even before the playoff berth and before the playoff win. So I think at this point, you're almost guaranteed to get a Daniel Jones extension this next offseason, which I feel like 5-7 is a very fair price point. I probably need to look at my own Dynasty rankings and move Daniel Jones up a bit. I mean, if I'm looking at my Dynasty rankings right now, I have Daniel Jones at 20. Yeah, Daniel Jones, honestly, probably needs to jump a tier up. We'll do that right this second. Yeah, let's move Daniel Jones up to... honestly... quarterback 14. So I think at this point, he's almost guaranteed the extension, and he has that rushing upside. And he won us a decent amount in Best Ball Mania. Okay, so our next pick. Okay, I was not paying attention. We were updating our rankings, so this could be ugly. F it, I don't know. We'll go Darren Waller. Like I said, we were updating our rankings. I was not even realizing we're about to be on the clock. 30 years old. What's the contract? I don't even know what the contract situation's like for Waller. Probably a very bad pick. I didn't know what rookie pick we were on, though. I think we're in the middle of the second when it comes to rookie picks. Let me look up Darren Waller's contract. Elijah Moore, honestly, maybe would have been the better pick there. I don't really care about Desmond Ridder, but I think Elijah Moore is probably the better pick. Yeah, so Darren Waller guaranteed to be with the Raiders next season. They could only save $3 million by cutting him. But then in 2024, he's going to be 32 years old, and they could save like 11 million. So looks like unless Darren Waller has a great season next year, the Darren Waller's one more year with the Raiders and then it's done. But that's our fault for not paying attention. I think we should have taken Elijah Moore. Either Elijah Moore and Khalil Herbert was the other guy that we were looking at, considering the fact that you have no Montgomery under contract next season. Interesting spot. So Sutton going off the board here at the end of the 11th, as well as Romeo Doubs, Khalil Herbert. Really like that Herbert value if you're getting him at the very beginning of the 12th, with the outside chance that David Montgomery's not a Chicago Bear next season. I'm not like the biggest Herbert fanboy in the world because keep in mind it's going to be a running back that literally never catches the football. And if they bring in any other guy to split the backfield with him, I think you should be a little bit worried. Okay. Donovan Peoples-Jones, I like that pick as well. Wan'Dale Robinson obviously would be a smash here if it wasn't for the torn ACL. Okay, I think I know where we're going. Tyler says, what do you think we should be doing with our teams right now? Trying to gather draft picks. I have one rebuilding one and one that's a contender. If you can acquire draft picks at a reasonable price, I think it's definitely a very safe move with a lot of upside as well. Obviously, it's difficult for me to say this is what everybody should be doing in Dynasty because every league's different. I mean, the market is different in every league. So I think the number one thing that you should be doing right now in Dynasty is ignoring what exactly your team is. Ignoring that this is a team that needs running backs. This is a team that needs a tight end. This is a team that has 8 wide receivers. We have way too many. And then going and trying to fix the team needs and rebalance the roster. The only thing we should be focusing on in January, February, March, April is value, because you're not even close to having to think about submitting a starting lineup. Okay. So we have some more kickers off the board. I really like the Alec Pierce selection at the 1207. Darnell Mooney, you just need a new quarterback in Chicago. I know Justin Fields is great from a fantasy standpoint, given the fact that the man can go out there and break NFL records with his rushing production. But for the Chicago Bears, he had 130 passing yards per game, literally the lowest mark since 2009. So, I mean, there's just no value in being a Chicago Bears pass catcher, at least with the current situation. So let's move this down. Let's see where we could go from here. Noah Fant off the board. We took Noah Fant in a decent amount of best ball leagues. The fun pick here is John Mechie. I don't know if it's the good pick, but the fun pick is John Mechie. We'll go Gibson. Gibson's still on his rookie deal. Still does have the profile, has the athleticism, has a role. I mean, if we're going to be getting him after Kareem Hunt, after Ezekiel Elliott at this point, I'm fine with it. I mean, a young player drafted in 2020. I mean, only stayed 3 years in college, so it's okay. It's not great. It's okay. Okay. And of course, if you want to join a draft with us, you can find the link in the live chat. You can find it in the description. Find it in the comment section. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK when you sign up. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $200, so it's free to check out. And with a minimum of a $10 deposit, you are also going to be getting our 2023 Dynasty rankings, so definitely make sure you're taking advantage of that. Godfather says, y'all think having Burrow, Chase, and Higgins is too much of a Bengals investment? No, I love it. If you have that double stack, keep it and roll with it, my friend. I mean, obviously, you live and die by the Cincinnati Bengals, but probably a good spot to be in, to be honest. Zach Wilson at the beginning of the 14th. It's very hard to say that Zach Wilson's a bad pick here. I mean, look at everybody else on the board at this point. Let's go see if we can find any diamonds in the rough. It was nice to see Irv Smith Jr. out there dropping balls yesterday, but Irv Smith Jr. is a player that I liked in Dynasty a while ago. Even though we say never to invest into young tight ends, we ended up doing it anyway and learning our lesson the hard way. So Malik Willis going off the board here in the middle of the 14th. I think we're going to go make the fun pick. We are going to – no, John Mechie's off the board. Never mind. John Mechie's off. Do we just – ooh, shoot. We almost took Chase Claypool. That would have been even worse than our next pick of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Very similar to Antonio Gibson. I mean, not a good player you want to be investing into, but a running back that's still on his rookie deal. At the beginning of the year was scoring touchdowns. Not a good pick, but I mean, what? We're taking him in like the late second round of a rookie draft. So it is what it is. It is what it is. And I think that should be about it. Let me show y'all the entire draft board here. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this morning. I really hope that you have a great week. I hope that you are able to enjoy watching the Dallas Cowboys, Tampa Bay Buccaneers tonight. I will say I'm going to be rooting for Tampa. I mean, I was explaining this at the Flock meetup yesterday that, I feel like this is the last hurrah for Tom Brady, and everybody wants to hate on Brady, including myself, for the longest time. But when we witnessed the best player in NFL history play, and it's coming to an end, I feel like you kind of want to root for him just for the last time. But thank you again, everybody. I appreciate you. I hope that you have a great day. If you want to check out any of these player props, promo code FLOCK, Underdog Fantasy, link in the live chat. Same place you can get into drafts with us on. And yeah, that's it. Have a great day, and I'll see you